Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go.
Hello.
Hello.
I was about to say we're back. We didn't really go anywhere.
No, we've been around. You've been getting your podcast just like normal.
Just because I haven't physically gone anywhere doesn't mean I haven't been mentally going places.
It's been a weird week.
I've been elsewhere mentally.
For anyone who watches Kimmy Schmidt, the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, I'm imagining you jumping around being like, I'm not really here. I'm not really here.
I love that show so much. It's just a shame it had to end. We haven't done this in a while. I want to read a couple of nice things from nice people. So Carla wrote us and said, my daughter turned me on to your podcasts. They're inspirational, instructive, and incisive. I like the alliteration.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the process of taking a break from work to figure out my next steps and to reevaluate my work-life balance. So listening to your words of wisdom has been very helpful. You guys are great.
That's so nice.
Also, I really love a mother-daughter tag team on a podcast.
I know.
I really like that.
I know. I think it kind of adds something that you guys can talk about together. That's kind of cool.
And then someone else, this is kind of long, but I really liked it, on Apple Podcasts wrote, thank you ladies for normalizing what feels not so normal in my life at times. I thrive on these types of conversations and so happy I found my podcast home with you two. You're so authentic and real, which is a breath of fresh air. You were so awesome to create an episode regarding why Rachel doesn't drink anymore based on my question about a year ago. I never got to share with you that the day the episode aired, I had finished my 90-day goal. I love the blend of your personalities and goes to show how two opposites can make a great right. Sounds silly, but Rachel's personality is very much like my husband's, and I'm for sure a Kristen. It can be challenging at times since he's so direct and has no problem speaking up. No offense, Rachel. And I can be too relaxed. No offense, Kristen. But we make each other stronger on this journey of life. Thank you for all you do, and please know you are enriching my life and all of your listeners' lives. Love you, ladies.
I love being referred to as a Kristen or a Rachel.
I think you really are one or the other. That is true. And I love that. I feel like, because like her name isn't on this, it's just her username. I think this may have been Mary. I think that may have been her name. I did respond to her pod. She wrote a question for Dear Rachel, and I turned it into a whole episode about why I don't drink anymore. And that was a year or more ago. So scroll back. I don't know. I don't know where that was. Google it. Clarity on Fire. Blog.
Yeah, she appreciates it.
I gave up drinking.
Clearly perfect timing for her own life at the time.
Mm-hmm. So, cool. Okay, what are we bringing back this time?
We are bringing back a blog about how to get out of analysis paralysis.
Yeah, like pretty much 99.9999% of people need to hear this.
Correct. And I'm not usually someone who gets stuck there too long because I hate overwhelm and I don't like to have too many things.
I feel like I'm pushing back on that statement.
Well, but
I feel like you've definitely gotten stuck in analysis paralysis.
Lately I have.
No, like historically.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you're not seeing yourself very accurately right now. I think that you definitely get like freaked out and you freeze. Like analysis paralysis is not fight or flight, it's freeze.
So I'm thinking of it as having a whole bunch of options and not knowing what to choose. And I don't like having a lot of options. I have like zero side hustler energy. That's what I'm thinking.
I guess. I've just known you a long time and I've definitely seen you do the deer in the headlights frozen. I don't know what to choose. I'm just going to stand here and not do anything.
Well, that's how I've been feeling lately. And so that's why partially I'm bringing it back because I've just been considering a lot of things. Actually, just in business, we've been considering a lot of changes and just a lot's been happening.
In life.
And in life. And so it feels like this is relevant to me at the moment. But I also know that this is relevant to, like you said, 99% of people at some point. So I feel like other people probably need this reminder too.
I'd like to meet that one person who's never had analysis paralysis. Like, what's wrong with you? There has to be something wrong with them, right? Like they were
it's
lobotomized.
abnormal. If everyone else is dealing with this, then that is an abnormal reaction. So
okay. But just because it's normal doesn't mean it's necessary. Hence this blog.
Exactly.
Okay, let's hear it.
How to get out of analysis paralysis. A client of mine is a teacher for elementary school kids. Every day, she gives her kids some free time in the afternoon to play games, be creative, and generally take a break from structured learning to have a little fun. A few weeks ago, after she explained all of the different stations they could play at during free time, coloring, origami, music, games, building with blocks, etc., most of the kids ran off to their favorite station. One little boy, though, stood paralyzed at the front of the room, tears welling in his eyes. My client crouched down and asked him, "What's wrong, sweetie? Why are you so upset?" "I like all of these stations. It's too hard to choose one," he said, fully crying now. My client told me later, "You have no idea how much I related to him in that moment. I'm constantly in analysis paralysis, overanalyzing my options and feeling totally overwhelmed. Seeing that kid just standing there, crying and paralyzed at the front of the classroom, my heart went out to him because I feel the exact same way all the time." I don't know about you, but I totally relate to that little boy sometimes too. When you have a bunch of choices in front of you, it can feel impossible to pick one. What if you choose wrong? What if you miss out on something? What if you regret your decision? What if you feel like you don't have enough information to decide? We live in an amazing time where we all have more choices today than most humans have had throughout history. It's downright amazing to think of all of the careers and life paths that you could pursue nowadays, things that our ancestors couldn't have even dreamed of. Yet the more choices in front of you, the more likely you are to question and doubt your decisions. If you're someone who's already prone to overanalyzing everything, you're likely to slip into full-on analysis paralysis, just like that little boy crying in the classroom. It makes sense that so many of us are overanalyzing and stressing out over our choices more than ever, but there is a way out of the mental chaos. How to stop overanalyzing everything. If you're paralyzed by indecision about something as small as where to eat lunch or as big as what career path to choose, then try going through each of these steps to get out of overwhelm and feel more confident about your decision. Number 1, quit the endless researching. There's this temptation to believe that if you could just gather enough info and think hard enough about something, the answer would magically reveal itself. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. In reality, if you get 5 friends' opinions and read 5 articles on the topic, you'll just wind up with 10 different recommendations and feeling more confused than ever. I get that some research might be necessary so you can make an informed decision. But after a certain point, all it does is weigh you down. So ask yourself, what specific questions do I need answered in order to make a decision about this? After you've answered those questions, stop Googling. Number 2, choose based on your feelings instead of emotions. Eventually, after you've done the research, you've got to get out of your head and check in with how you feel about your options. You can't logic yourself into a feel-good decision, after all. I used to think years ago that making emotionally based decisions was not smart and kind of impulsive. But that's only because I didn't realize the difference between deeper desired feelings versus your more fleeting emotional state. Danielle Laporte gives the best description of the difference between these two. She says, "Emotions for me are very fleeting. I can feel 900 emotions in a day. I can feel rage. I can feel good. I can feel happy, sad. A bunch of them are petty. Hey, hi, goodbye. They're very fleeting. Whereas feelings, the physically desired feelings, are much deeper and much more steady. They're the oceans instead of the mist. If you're considering your choices based on how you deeply want to feel, instead of your current fleeting emotional state or what makes the most logical sense, your analysis paralysis will start to melt away. So throw out your mental pro-cons list and consider which option is going to get you closer to how you ultimately want to feel. Number 3, the 90% rule. I read about this in Greg McKeown's book, Essentialism, and it totally blew my mind. It's really simple, but it can be so hard to follow through on. Here's how he describes it. As you evaluate an option, think about the single most important criterion for that decision, and then simply give the option a score between 0 and 100. If you rate it any lower than 90%, then automatically change the rating to 0 and simply reject it. This way, you avoid getting caught up in indecision or worse, getting stuck with the 60s or 70s. Think about how you'd feel if you scored a 65 on some test. Why would you deliberately choose to feel that way about an important choice in your life? Choosing only the 90% or higher options takes a lot of courage. But once you clear out the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you won't have much left to overanalyze. 4, take one small step in any direction. Okay, so you've emerged from the online research black hole. Consider it how you ultimately want to feel and cut out any option that doesn't rank at least 90% for you. Chances are, one choice is standing out above the rest by now. But if you still feel like you have too many choices and you're mired in indecision, take one small step in any direction. When you're prone to overanalyzing, the last thing you want to do is throw yourself 100% into a choice. Your FOMO will kick in hardcore. So take a baby step. Set up an informational interview. Go to that grad school open house. Take a weekend trip to the city you're considering moving to. Buy the domain for your potential future business. You can always reevaluate and course correct if you need to. And remember my favorite quote from Marie Forleo: clarity comes from engagement, not thought. You can't choose wrong. Remember that little boy who was crying over which stations to play at during free time? My client told him, the point of free time is to have fun, and it sounds like you'll have fun at any of the stations. So you can't choose wrong. Let's choose one station today, and you can choose a different one tomorrow. That's true for you too. You can't choose wrong, and you can always choose again later on. If your ultimate goal is just to feel good and enjoy life, any number of roads will get you there. So don't worry so much about taking the wrong path. Once you've made your choice, then use your over-analytical mind for you, not against you. Devote your brain power to figuring out how to make the absolute best of your decision instead of letting it run wild with worry and second-guessing. Now tell me, are you forever overanalyzing every decision? How do you deal with analysis paralysis? Leave a comment to tell me about it.
Okay, we haven't done this in a while. So if you liked this episode and you want more along the same lines, got a few recommendations for you. I think they were all blogs that Kristen wrote at some point. One is How I Got Over My FOMO from October 2018, so a year ago.
Yep. So also why you should keep new ideas to yourself from December of 2018.
And How You Can Stop Freaking Out About Not Knowing the Future from April of 2019, which was 6 months ago.
I know, that's wild. Well, I picked these because all of these have to do with overthinking or overanalyzing or getting stuck in analysis paralysis. So if this is a relevant topic to you, all the rest of these are also going to be pretty relevant.
And it should go without saying that if I read reviews earlier, it's because I like reviews. And I like seeing them. And if you are new and you haven't left us a rating and a review on whatever you're listening,
or if you're not new and you haven't left us a rating or review, that's also
that's more unforgivable, but I will allow it. I'll take your review no matter how long you've been here.
Exactly.
But it's just a nice way to say thank you.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it.
And we put a lot of work into it, not because I'm expecting anything out of you, but like it is nice every once in a while to tip your server. Well, I'm serving up some wisdom here.
Right. And you can tip us with a review. That counts.
Sure does. Okay. So we will see you on Friday with a new interview with an expert. We are talking to someone that we have known in real life, but have not actually seen in 5 years because she moved to California. And she's a coach. She's currently studying to become a clinical psychologist. And we're talking to her about healing what she calls the worthiness wound. So feeling not good enough, feeling unworthy. Again, 99.99999% of you should be here. I don't want to meet the person who doesn't feel unworthy. They are a psychopath.
That's a psychopath or a sociopath.
Stay far away from me. So we'll see you on Friday for what I'm sure is going to be a multi-mic drop conversation with Thais.
Oh, yeah. See you then.